Hey everybody, welcome to Rebel Parenting. We are so excited to talk to you today. We're continuing our series, Love in the Deep End, Preparing for the Unpreparable. People tell you can't prepare for lots of things. We totally disagree. You can prepare for everything that's coming in life. It doesn't mean it's not going to be hard, but you can prepare. And I'm telling you, something that saved our marriage, literally, I can't even count the times because it's something we don't do. And we especially didn't do it this last year while Laura was going through cancer. Well, we were going through cancer again. Laura was going through cancer again. We call it Don't Punish for a Lifetime.
And the idea is it's really easy and tempting as humans to want to punish the people that have hurt us, right? That's human nature. We want to get back at the people that have hurt us. Just think of you driving fast on the road or just driving on the road. Someone cuts you off. There's this reaction real quick. You want to make them pay. You want to get back at them, right?
Yeah.
So this happens in our marriages and it happens in our children. And, we don't need to drag in the past hurts and the past pain into today's struggles. God has given us freedom for that. And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Totally. And the Lord says, as far as the east is from the west, that's how far away our sins are. In fact, let me read it. It's our verse for the day. It's Psalm 103:12. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. And he's our role model, right? This is our role model. So when we speak at churches all the time. If you'd like us to come to our church, please reach out, rebelparenting.org. We'd love to come to your church. One of the examples I use when I'm talking about this, let's say you're going to work, right? And you're dropping your kids off at carpool at school, and there was too many people in line, and they were, all the things, and you weren't frustrated. Of course, that didn't stress you out. And then you leave that carpool line, and you're running a little bit late for work, little bit. And so, your boss is kind of that way, and so you speed it up just a little bit, just, 5 over, no big deal. And all of a sudden, red and blue flashing in your rearview mirror. Ah! Why is it that we always turn the radio down when you see a cop behind you? Like, it doesn't matter if the lights are flashing or not. If I see a police officer behind me, I'm like, Murr. And I've seen 100 people do. They can't hear what I'm playing. Why am I worried about that? But anyway, I do. So you're seeing the red and blue flashes. You're like, oh, I can't believe it. Now I'm really going to be late for work. And what are you expecting? You're expecting an officer to come up to your window and say, license, registration, and proof of insurance. And you're going to go reach into your glove box, do the whole thing. That's not what happens. He comes over hot. And he's like, get out of the car. And you're like, what? And he rips your door open. And you're like, oh, my goodness. You've seen videos like this. And all of a sudden, he spins you around. He throws you against the hood. And your arms are out. And he's kicking your legs apart. And you're like, what happened? I was only doing 5 miles an hour over the speed limit. And he's cuffing your hands. He's like, you're going to jail. And you're like, what are you talking about? It was just 5 miles an hour. And he's like, that's right. But you'll never speed again.
Yeah.
Now, oh my gracious, you're in jail. It's a rigmarole. Not that I've ever been in jail. Post bail, get out. Now you're on a mad dash to work. You get to work. You run to your boss's office. You're like, you're not going to believe what happened. He's like, you're late. You're fired. And you're like, wait, let me explain. I was just this much late. And then the cop did the whole thing. And he's like, that's right. You're late. And I'm like, please, please. He's like, but you'll never be late again. Goodness gracious. That's not how the Lord treats us, but we treat each other that way. We bring up the past to win in the present.
Keeping score.
And it destroys your relationship. Keeping score destroys vulnerability and intimacy.
Well, and real quick, can I jump in?
Please.
Part of that, I loved your analogy. That was hilarious. And also, if you're having a reaction to something of let's say a minor infraction, the peanut butter jar is left off in the kitchen and whatever, you just clean the kitchen. And your response is like what Ryan just shared, maybe you have some work individually to do. Yeah. I just had to point that out. Like if your response is to punish greater than what's needed. I mean, I don't even like the word punishment. I don't think we need to punish anybody, but
certainly not your spouse.
Yeah,
that's not what it's about.
No. Yeah. So sorry. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. And this comes up in so many areas. And hey, I don't know. Maybe you're like me. Maybe you were born in the 70s. I'm turning 55 in a month. If you're a Gen Xer and you were raised in the church, you may have had a similar upbringing. Your parents may have read some very famous books. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the punishing for a lifetime, it comes up in so many different ways. And I bring that up because in the church, there's an area that it gets brought up all the time. And I want to address it personally, but I want to address it publicly for all of you too. I struggle with addiction. I don't know if I've talked about that on the show before, but that is one of the things I've always struggled with my whole life. And I am getting ready to celebrate 15 years of recovery in like a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so excited. I will tell you, I have studied addiction for a long, long, long time, right? I want to know everything I can possibly know about addiction. And what I've learned is if there is an addict, and I don't care what you're addicted to, porn, heroin, sugar, it doesn't matter. Social media? No, that's not. Big major addictions. If you go through a 12-step, if you go through rehab, if you work a program and get clean, the chance of you falling off the wagon, the chance of recidivism, of falling off the wagon is around 87%. 87%. That means the most likely scenario for Laura is that I'm gonna fall off the wagon sometime. That's the most likely scenario. And yet in the church, in the faith world, especially in addiction, you hear the line in the sand. One more time, I'm out.
One more time, you're out. Yeah.
One more time, you're out.
Yeah.
Right? One more time, I'm taking the kids, going to my mom's. One more time, I'm kicking you out. And it can be done with all kinds of things. But I'm talking about addiction because it's a big one. And people really, really hang on to this.
And addiction is rampant everywhere today in our churches.
Especially since COVID. My gracious, people struggle with it so much and they hide it. They hide it. I did for years. I hid it for years.
Well, what I wanted to add to that was making people pay. So we know that punishment and making people pay might sound really harsh, but we just want to invite you to possibly try it on, just to ask yourself this question while you're listening. Do I make my children pay? Do I make my spouse pay? And if I do, how do I make them pay? So I'm going to tell on myself. Is that okay? Can I tell on myself real quick? So one of the ways I used to make Ryan pay when he hurt my feelings or there was a breakdown in our relationship is I would go silent.
Yeah.
And I would make my silence speak for me, and I'd make him pay.
By the way, here's the thing.
And it doesn't work in relationships. So just sharing.
Well, and I can be we're just going to be vulnerable and honest. There's a reason Laura goes silent, because she knows what's going to happen to me when she goes silent. And as a spouse, if you've been married for any length of time, you know the buttons, you know the vulnerable spots, you know those sensitive areas. And Laura knows if I think we're not on the same page and I can't talk to her, I can't get anything done. My brain is a chaotic mess and I am miserable. And here's the truth. It's not fair. It really isn't. And maybe what I did was astronomical. It's still not how the Lord treats us. And that's why I want to go back to the addiction thing. If I fall off the wagon, people would say, that's the end of the world. Well, is it? Let's say I fall off the wagon tomorrow, okay? I'm getting ready to celebrate 15 years, but I fall off the wagon tomorrow, and I go, and I drink, and I...
What would most people do in that situation? Most wives would run away. No, maybe.
I go out, I drink. By the way, because I've been in a program, this is a regular occurrence. I'm just going to give you a scenario I've heard many, many, many times. I've had a ton of sobriety. I don't know what triggered me, but I went out, I drank, I drove home drunk, I got pulled over, and I pulled into my driveway because I didn't want to pull over for the cop that was going to arrest me for drunk driving, and then I get arrested in my driveway in front of my wife and kids, and then she's like, I'm out! Right? I'm telling you, 90% of the church will be like, yes, you're doing the right thing. That's exactly the right thing to do. But what if that was the most likely scenario? I mean, it's 87% chance I'm going to fall off the wagon. So that's a really high percentage that that's going to happen. could you then prepare for if that happens? What will we do as a couple?
Yeah. And this is never to give anyone license to go drink or anything of that nature. We're just stating the facts of the statistics that are out there on addiction.
Yeah. And grief. Giving yourself time to grieve. Let's say I do fall off the wagon. We would grieve that. That would be a big deal. It would be a very sad, sad day. And we would grieve that, but also celebrate how much time I did have sober. That's a really big deal. 15 years is a really big deal. I'm super proud of myself. That's a big deal. Mm-hmm. So you have to take it in context. Can you grieve? Can you have hurt feelings? Can you be worried about the future? Yes, all of the things. But this is the deal. Laura knows when I'm getting triggered because I don't go and drink anymore. I eat sugar and I stop working out and I stop meditating and I stop doing yoga and I don't get up early and I do all the things. She could go into a fear response because that's kind of scary, right? I'm the head of the household. I'm the primary breadwinner, all the things. And we can't afford for me to not be present. And that would be scary. And this is the thing too. This is 20-year-old pro tip. Early in our marriage, Laura's way better all throughout our marriage than I was. I had to learn way more in the beginning. But early on in our marriage, I lost a bunch of weight. And then I got depressed and triggered and I started eating sugar and doing all the things that I wasn't working out, all the things. And Laura was great. And she would be like, hey, you want to go for a walk? Or, really kind, really nice. Or cook a healthy meal. Or, hey, you want a piece of fruit? Just the sweetest, kindest response. The problem is Laura's not saying I'm broken, but I feel broken. And I know I'm triggered, and I'm so ashamed of being triggered. And it's a reminder that I feel like a failure. And I feel like I'm not going to make it. And instead of that today, I can be completely open with Laura. I had a dream like 3 weeks ago that I drank. It was so weird. I had a dream that I ordered a drink. The first dream I ordered a drink and then I almost drank and I was like, whoa, what am I doing? Oh my goodness, I don't drink. And then I woke up and I was like, that's crazy. I can tell Laura that I'm triggered. I can tell her that I had a dream about drinking. I can talk about my struggle with addiction and Laura doesn't have a fear response. And I got to tell you, I'm just telling all the spouses out there, when there's no fear response, when there's no pushback, I have nothing to fight against.
Yeah.
I have nothing to fight against. There's nothing to rebel against. There's no self-righteousness. There's no vindictive anger. There's nothing. There's just someone that loves me because of who I am. Not in spite of my failures, not in spite of my addiction, but because of who I am. And I'll go, oh my gosh, I was so triggered. And she'd say, oh my goodness, that stinks. How do you feel? Instead of trying to help fix the situation, just how are you feeling? And I go, I'm angry, or I'm sad, or I wish I wasn't this way. And she's like, oh yeah. And she just loves on me. I got to tell you, that has kept me sober so many times.
Well, and I think too, with the mindset we're coming from is that we're not fighting each other.
Yeah.
If addiction comes up or financial stress comes up, we're fighting the addiction. We're not fighting each other. We need community. We need more connection. When addiction is present, that's actually when you need more connection and community. You need more people in your life loving on you. The tendency with addiction is to isolate and pull away. And that's when the secrets start coming in, and that's when addiction blows up, right? So the beauty is to shift that you are fighting together against something else.
That's right.
And
the sin response is always isolate.
Yeah.
The sin response in ourselves is shame and isolation, shame and hide.
And blame. I'm going to blame you and punish you. It's not my fault I'm an addict. It's his fault.
Yeah. If you were just nicer, I wouldn't have to drink.
I wouldn't have to drink. No, just kidding. We're joking.
Totally.
But that's how we make people pay.
Yeah. That's That's right.
Even in our addictions, we can make people pay.
Yeah.
And it's hard truth to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
But the growth and the hope here is that there's so many possibilities when you put God in the center of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And Ryan and I are a testament of that.
Yeah.
That's what we have done.
Yeah. Another big component to this is context. Context is so huge. And this may speak. If you're like me and you were raised in the 70s and 80s, this might resonate with you too. Laura got diagnosed with cancer the first time around. Gosh, how long has it been?
I don't even know.
The kids were little. It's been like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, it was about 8.
8 years. So Lincoln was 10, Lucy was 5. Lincoln is uber compliant. Lucy has a great free spirit. They are just wonderful, wonderful kids.
Yeah.
And Laura got diagnosed with a scary form of cancer, and it was in her lip, and she had to put a topical chemo on her mouth every night, and it would supposedly eat away the cancer throughout the night, and then she would wake up with a completely raw, open sore, bloody lip, and then she would go about her day, and anytime she opened her mouth, smiled, tried to eat, said a word, you got to imagine you've taken all the skin off your lower lip, all of it, every day. She did that every single... It was every day for 18 months. It was a year and a half. I remember the doctors telling us that no one they know has ever gone that far. It hurts so much that people quit. They quit doing it. It's too painful. They'd rather have cancer than go through the pain of that. So I wasn't handling it well. And I was at my therapist's and I was telling them my kids had just gone nuts. They were fighting like they don't fight, and they were calling each other names, and there was hitting and pulling hair, and it was crazy. It was so crazy. I was still vice president of my dad's organization. I'm doing a podcast with Laura. I'm doing radio with my dad. I'm telling my therapist, I'm like, I'm such a huge fraud. I'm such a fraud. I'm telling people how to raise their family and kids. My kids are nuts. They don't even like me. They're fighting, they're hitting, they're screaming. There's all this chaos going on. I'm a giant imposter. And he was like, oh my goodness, that's so tough. How's Laura's chemo going? And I was like, it's terrible. It's awful. And I described what I described to you, and I'm flipping out and probably yelling. And he's like, oh yeah, well, my goodness, how are you handling that? And I was like, awful, terribly. I go in the garage and weep all the time so my kids don't see me. I just sit in the garage and cry because I'm afraid the children are going to see me. And he's like, oh, yeah. How do you think your kids are handling it? I was like, giant light bulb, right? Huge light bulb. Here I am. It was almost 10 years ago, 8 years ago. I'm in my 40s. I've been to therapy half my life. I've got all kinds of tools, and I can't handle the situation. And here I am expecting my children to handle it. And this is why I bring up how you were raised. Typical Christian household. Is hitting your siblings okay? No, that's not okay. Is pulling hair okay? No, that's not okay. Is calling them names okay? No, those are sins. We can't sin in our household, and you have to stop your children from doing those things. You got to stop your kids from hitting. You got to stop your kids from yelling. You got to stop your kids from pulling hair. You got to stop your kids from biting. You got to stop them from doing all this stuff. Yeah, okay. But why are they doing it? Listen, when I was growing up, just go back and read a bunch of parenting books. The assumption is, why are they doing it? Because they're sinners. That's why they're doing it. Sin nature. They're sinners. And you got to stop the sin. Well, Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what it was in the middle of cancer. I didn't know that I should be punishing my children for acting out in ways I was doing just hidden from them. Here's the truth. They didn't need correction. They did not need correction. We all needed connection.
Say it again.
We don't need correction. We need connection in those times of breakdown. Don't isolate. Don't ground and sit in the corner and do the things where you isolate a child from the rest of the family. In fact, don't do it at any time. Isolation is never the correct form of punishment. It's never a way to address an issue with your children. You know what we did? We spent way more time together. By the way, I had to pull it together. I had to go to my therapist and be like, I got to stop crying all day long. I got to figure out what's going on. And I had to do...
Well, and I think that's really important. I just want to jump in. Is that part of us here at Rebel Parenting is we encourage you to go get your own healing. So if you need your own healing, that's on you. It's not on him. I can't blame him for my issues. I can't blame him for any of the stuff that, you know, I brought to the marriage 20 years ago, right? I need to take responsibility for my emotions. I need to take responsibility for my spiritual walk. I need to take responsibility for how I show up in the relationship 100%, healthy as I can be, and whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah.
And he has to do the same too.
Yeah.
You know, it's we're both in this to win it.
That's right. We started going on more walks, more drives, more time together. I started driving the kids to school every day. We started going on nightly walks every night. And
you guys would, come sit with me.
I'm so glad I talked about all my failures in the beginning, because I hate talking. I don't hate talking about it. I just want you to know that you can do this. In the middle of a crisis, you can go, you know what? I'm going to do this. And this is the other part too. There's a great book called The Art of War. Wait, no. The War of Art. The War of Art, not Sun Tzu, The Art of War. The War of Art. And what it says is any positive action you try to take, you're going to get resistance and pushback from. Any positive action you try to take, you're going to get resistance and pushback from. So what I mean to say is we started doing game night, and we started doing pizza night and movies. We started doing walks every single night. And I got to tell you, game night did not go over well for a long time. There was lots of crying and tears and storming out of the room. And it made me want to quit immediately. Immediately. It's like, this is a failure. I'm not doing it again. What are you talking about? Go again. That was the last show. Go again. Do it again. Show your kids. That's the greatest thing about playing games with your kids, is you get to lose in front of them. You get to lose in front of your kids and show them how to lose. You can be disappointed, but you also got to handle it well. Lose in front of your children. Lose on purpose. Don't let them know, because that's terrible. But lose, and lose well in front of your kids. We're trying to institute game nights and walks and all these things, and I got lots of resistance. But you keep going again, and you keep trying, and you keep spending. By the way, the more time you spend together, the more time that you try and understand where your children are coming from, where your spouse is coming from, right? Like Laura and I had completely different experiences in all the cancer situations. Our kids had totally different experiences than us.
Yeah.
But when you try to understand that context, it shows the other person that you're seeing them as a person.
Right. And you're giving hope that that everyone can grow.
Yeah.
And that you can change. So if you find yourself in a breakdown today, it's okay, not a problem. The breakdown might be the possibility for the breakthrough that's coming in your marriage.
Totally. All right, I'm going to read this stuff, because this is how to stop punishing your in marriage for a lifetime with your kids. Don't rehash old fights. If you've moved on, move on. If you haven't, get a third party. If you can't stop bringing up whatever the thing is that you keep bringing up, and you know you shouldn't be doing that,
get some help.
Get some help. Whether it's a therapist or a very good friend that is very, very wise, that's not taking sides, don't weaponize past failures.
What would that look like?
Oh, I can't believe, how dumb. Can't believe you did that again.
Yeah.
Really? Again?
Someone rear-ended you again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously. Oh, this is the big one. This is huge. Laura knows this is one of my biggest pet peeves in all of communication and conversation, is the word always or the word never. You always. You never. Oh, no one always does anything. No one never does anything. That's not okay. And it's not okay to say that. By the way,
it's not okay to say it about yourself either.
Yeah. When you tell your spouse you always or you never, what you're saying is that is your identity. That's who you are. You're never going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, you can say, when this happens, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Take responsibility. I feel like this is going on, right? Ugh. That's the other one, too. You can talk about this. I'm just going to say it from a husband's standpoint. When a husband uses the words always and never in an argument with his wife, it shuts their voice down. You want to stop an argument, you want to stop communication instantly, you always, you never. And she's going to be like, oh, really? Okay. Then fine. Yes. Great. You're right.
And then
you're right. You're right over there by yourself, you big jerk. Right?
All alone.
Yeah. When this happened, I felt. Stay in the present moment. By the way, this is a big one too. You can just say, you know what? I'm not handling this well. I need to take a break. Not as a weapon, by the way. And I have to say this because if you're right in the middle of a fiery thing and you're like, you know what? I'm done. And you walk away, that's not okay.
No.
You got to do that with grace. We call it by win. We'll do a show on that. But it's, hey, I'm not in any position. This happened today. I got interrupted a bunch of times and flipped out and banged on my desk. And Laura came down and she's like, are you okay? And I was like, this has nothing to do with you. And she's like, I know. Are you okay? And I'm like, no. I am more frustrated than I've been in weeks. I got interrupted 800 times today. I'm trying to write notes. I'm an ADD and I got sidetracked. And I was like, I'm sorry. And she's like, no, this is not about me. And I'm like, it's not about you. And she's like, I know. She kept saying, I know. It was great though, right?
Yeah.
Now, she could have held on to that. Talked about it right now. Can you believe what my jerk husband just did? Scared me, da-da-da-da. But no, it's not. It was, yeah. Introduce the reset principle. That's the thing, too.
Yeah. Can I share on that one?
Yeah. Talk about fighting and repairing.
Okay. Well, first off, this program is about fighting fair, people. You got to learn to fight fair. So, hey, no name calling. Any of those name callings, I talk to lots of women and there's been a lot of name calling going on in between marriages. And I see name calling too. Parents being playfully name calling towards their children. Just check yourself. I don't know if that's called for, but we don't name call ever. We never, ever have. And it's very useful in a marriage.
No swearing at your spouse.
Don't swear at them. Things of that nature. Just be kind, respectful, in your fight. But what was the other thing you wanted me to ask about? Fighting fair, but then you said bring in
fighting fair. It was the, can I try again? The reset. Oh, the reset.
Oh, the reset.
Yeah,
the reset button. Okay, so for me this last year I would get really exhausted and I get really tired, and I know sometimes my words would come out very harsh and biting. One, because I was so tired and exhausted, right? So a reset button, we just use the word reset button. Hey, can I reset? And we just go again. And we say what we wanted to say in a different tone, in a different way. And it puts the other person, Ryan, at ease because I'm owning my own aggression. I'm owning my own bad attitude. I'm owning my responsibility in the relationship. Hey, honey, let me try that again. That didn't come across the way I wanted it to. That would diffuse thousands of conflicts. Hey, honey, let me try that again.
Yeah. And here's let me take away some shame and guilt from a bunch of couples out there. Fighting isn't a big deal. Fighting's not that big of a deal. Like if you think you have a bad marriage because you fight a lot, no, you don't.
Just learn to fight well.
It's how you repair. That's the big deal. And it's so much easier to repair if you're not calling names and you're not swearing and you're not doing those things when you're fighting, right?
And not punishing for a lifetime.
Yeah. If you're not doing those things, you can repair well, right? Like I can go and say, hey, I'm really sorry. I just flipped out today. And I'm sorry that I was banging on my desk. I shouldn't do that. And Laura's like, yeah, I get it. Right? Repair. So if we bicker, not nearly like we used to, but we used to bicker all the time. And I was so ashamed of it. And I was telling my therapist, he's like, so what? Do you repair well? I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you call her names? I was like, goodness, no. I don't want to be called a name. That's not okay. He's like, oh, all right. We go to great therapists, repairing well that's the key. That is totally the key. By the way, it disarms the other person. It creates room for grace.
Well, and that's the what's the opposite of punishment?
Yeah,
Grace, people.
that's right. I love this. Forgiveness doesn't erase memory, but it rewrites the story with grace included.
Yep. Perfect.
All right, let me hit some scriptures before we go,
Mm.
because this is our role model.
Yeah.
I started with Psalm 103:12. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. Isaiah 1:18. Though your sins were like scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Isaiah 43:25. I am he who blots out your transgressions and remembers your sins no more. It's so rad.
Thank you.
How awesome is God? Micah 7:19, you will cast all our sins into the depths of the sea. Hebrews 8:12, I will forgive their wickedness and will remember their sins no more. Romans 8:1, there is now, therefore, now no condemnation for those who are in Jesus Christ.
Mm.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Isn't that the best? It's so cool. If the Lord is rehashing all my junk from the past, I would never make it out. I would
Ever.
never. So, weekly challenge.
Here we go, rebels. Get ready.
Think of one thing you've been holding on to, whether it's with a kid or your spouse or yourself. Just think of one thing you've been holding on to, write it down.
Yeah, you have to write it down. Long form.
Give it to God and let it go.
Yep.
Tell him, I'm over this. I need to be done with this. And say it out loud. I will not punish for a lifetime.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. We love that you share your time with us. It
Yeah.
makes us so happy. If you want more information, go to rebelparenting.org. If you'd like Laura and I or either one of us to come speak at your church or your group, you can also reach out at rebelparenting.org. God bless. We'll see you next week.
Take care.